Alright guys, welcome back. So I'm going to try the Russell Brand style of YouTubing where I don't actually lean into anything, but I leave it for you guys to think about yourselves. So today I want to play for you a few snippets of things that I have and I want to comment on them as we go through. This isn't going to be the best format. Like once again, I'm going to say to everyone, I'm not the best with video editing yet. I'm not the best at anything, so I'm kind of doing this as I go, winging it. If you're here, if you actually watch my stuff, which not many probably do, this is just for me trying to get out there. Um, you have to actually think about what's going on. You have to think about what people have said this entire time and how it's actually playing out now. Think objectively, use your own thoughts about this. I'm going to play something I found on Twitter a few days ago, and I've saved it just to replay. I do this a lot. I save a lot of files because I mean to make videos, but I don't do it all the time. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm someone who's just thinking openly, using my own thoughts as I've grown up, as I've learned to do throughout my entire life is think independently. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna play this YouTube. I'm gonna play this on Twitter real quick. We're gonna see what it's all about. We'll talk about it, and then we'll go to another clip that I actually put on there on YouTube from a KGB agent, and we're gonna slowly go through this all. It's gonna be a little bit longer of a video today, if you can bear with me. Good things to think about. A lot of stuff in there, pretty informational. So let me transition to that, and we're gonna play this video over here from the 1998, by the way. So remember that 1998.
Across the millennium years is crunch time in this whole agenda, crunch time for the human race. This is the time when this network of interbreeding bloodlines wants to bring in its global fascist structure of a world government to which nation states would be administrative units, of a world central bank and a world currency, a currency that wouldn't be cash, it would be merely electronic, for which there are fundamental implications for human freedom.
With this too, guys, you notice everyone is trying to go to digital currency. They're trying to do everything possible to get you from stop using cash to get into using everything electronic, everything on your phone, touch your phone to this, touch your phone to that. So we are getting there, guys. We're getting there, and China's there, which we're going to talk about after this. So let's just let this guy finish.
And also the World Army, which is designed to be NATO, expanding and expanding as it is now, of course, to become the fully fledged World Army, World Police Force. And underpinning that little lot is designed to be a microchip population, in which we are microchipped with our financial details, our medical details, etc., etc.
And on that topic, instead of the words microchipping, which we've all thought how it was going to happen, we've all now have these beautiful things we carry with us every day. And instead of a microchip, and nowadays we are doing apps, health apps, and this is what the virus has brought upon us. Everyone now is in a registered database. If you have been, stuck or not, overseas, it's even worse in China, which we'll get into in a few minutes, which we have to keep remembering. This has all been foreshadowed, that everyone's thought about this from George Orwell all the way to this guy and random people. We've all had the same thoughts. We've all been thinking about this. The global people have thought about this and read all these books as well too, and it seems to be being implemented, in my opinion, but I'm not saying it is. Let's just finish listening to it.
And that would allow not only electronic tagging, people knowing where we are all the time, it would allow the external manipulation through this electronic means of our mental and emotional processes. This will happen unless the human race wakes up and wakes up fast. And to do that, we need to understand what's really going on. And to let people know that, we've got to stop beating about the bush, stop pulling punches, stop pussyfooting around, keeping information from people, oh my goodness, how will they react, and just say, this is going on, take it or leave it, make of it what you will, but this is what's going on.
Sorry, I was muted. I didn't realize that. If you don't think about that correctly, And if you don't understand what he was trying to say there, we can't even have our own opinion nowadays without upsetting anybody. And it seems like we're just going to get worse and worse as time goes on. You can say the smallest thing and it offends somebody. You can barely say anything that you would have said when you were a child without being called a racist, a bigot, something else that way. It's getting a little bit out of hand and it's just going to get worse and worse. Um, but we'll go on now to one of my KGB agent guys that I know was a defector, Yuri Bezmov, I think. I don't know how to say his last name. He was a KGB defector and he explained back in the day, I don't remember when the interview was, I think it was in the mid 80s, but he goes through to explain. I'm only going to play like a minute or two of how ideology subversion happens and how the KGB wanted to win and how the Russians wanted to win an ideology war. They don't want to actually use weapons and stuff, which is kind of how you see in the Ukraine right now. There's no real fighting going on in the Ukraine that's that bad. There's a little bit of fighting here and there, but most of it is media propaganda and bullshit coming out from them. And it's kind of funny, the European Union's kind of lifted their regulations and restrictions when it's coming to food and fertilizers. We'll get a bit on that here in a few seconds, but let's watch a little bit of Yuri. Let's see what he has to say for a second that I've saved, and we'll move on from there. So let's check that out.
Money and manpower is spent on espionage as such. The other 85% is a slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interest of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in four basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of
And now, if you notice what he's saying on there, it does take that long. And as you see in the public schools, it has been transitioning. Teachers now are far crazier than what we were growing up with in our schools. You were taught as you were growing up in school, love everybody, treat everyone the same. Don't ever worry about someone's skin color because we're all great humans to not worry about that stuff. And nowadays you have it being the opposite. You have teachers telling kids, worry about his skin. If he's black, you need to treat him differently. He was, oppressed in his life, all this other BS. You have teachers now promoting, like, and this is not, I'm not against gay people or anything like that, but I do feel like it's a parent's responsibility to allow a kid to be into whatever they want to be parent wise. So I think a parent should be the one to introduce them into what gay means and to what, all that kind of stuff means. If you can tell your kids different growing up, um, not saying just playing with Barbies or something silly, but just different, then let them be different and figure that out as they go. But I don't feel like it's a teacher's responsibility to push being gay, to push, trans agendas on people, all this other crazy stuff that they have been doing. And as you see here, he explains it starts in the school. It takes a long time. It takes a generation or two to start corrupting people into making you feel bad. And it's really how it's going. Let's let him talk for a few more. We'll go through it. I'll stop playing the video and then I'll go on to a few more of the topics real quick.
of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The result you can see, most of the people who graduated in the 60s, dropouts or half-baked intellectuals, are now occupying the positions of power in the government, civil service, business, mass media, educational system. You are stuck with them. You cannot get rid of them. They are contaminated. They are programmed to think and react to certain stimuli in a certain pattern. You cannot change their mind, even if you expose them to authentic information, even if you prove that white is white and black is black, you still cannot change.
Which is true nowadays. If you think about that, no matter even if you have the most proof, anything you could show to these people that you're correct and they're wrong, you could have everything possible to show people. They just mentally cannot understand it. They won't give it up. They won't give anyone else the win because mentally they just can't do it. It's just how we've been programmed in the younger parts of the generation in the world to not think besides one train of thought. I have a family member, same exact way. She's, of course, the demographic that I think is the worst. Young white women. I think there's a lot of us who think young white women are going to be the death of America and the world because they love to scream racist. They love to scream everything that no one else really cares about. Um, it's just it's pathetic, and they are actually teaching our kids. They are actually doing other things that we should be paying more of attention to. But as we know, people are getting less and less concerned about what their kids are doing, and more tablets, 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 because it makes the parents free. I'm running a little bit long, so let's let this go for a minute more. We'll go to the healthcare system over there and how they're implementing money, and then we'll move on.
The basic perception and the logic of behavior. In other words, these people, the process of demoralization is complete and irreversible. To get rid society of these people, you need another 20 or 15 years to educate a new generation of patriotically minded and common sense people who would be acting in favor and in the interests of the United States society.
And yet these people who've been programmed and, as you say, in place and
Yes.
who are favorable to an opening with the Soviet concept, these are the very people who would be marked for extermination in this country?
Most of them, yes.
So as we see there, I'm not gonna play any more of this guy. If you want to watch
simply because-
more of him, he's on my YouTube. Just search for KGB agent describes communism. He pretty much lays out exactly what's going on right now, and it's a very scary thing. I'm gonna go back. We're gonna look at this news article together and talk about what they're doing in China and how we could be close to it if we don't pay attention. In my opinion, um, they have health code stuff on their phone. So everywhere in China, I don't know if you know, but their phone is their pass for everything. They use WeChat and WhatsApp for everything. Their whole identity is on there. That gives them clearance to fly, not to fly. And what they've been doing is if you protest against China, if you're not against China with their social credit score, I mean, if you're not with China, and all they can do is easily knock your social credit score down, and then they'll just put a red thing on your health code, and it's basically on your app. So when you go to the store, you'll put it up there, and boop, it won't actually show up green. It'll show up red. It'll deny you from doing certain things. I'll link this article in the description below as well too. But it's actually banning passengers from flying, from even leaving the state. You can't get in and out through customs or anything normal anymore, which is kind of crazy. And it's coming to us. There's a lot of this stuff coming to us, guys, and you need to open up your brains and pay attention to what's going on because it really is coming. So with this as well, all their, jabs and pokes and everything else are going through this as well too. It's how you get in and out of stores. So just prepare. This is coming, and as we keep giving more and more guidances, nothing is going away. None of the jab or the mandates that were created have been lifted. They're not going to be eased. A lot of the programs share a ton with the federal government. So we'll go back and look at Kim, and then we're going to be calling it a day for this one, and I'll come back, hopefully soon with some more information. But it's kind of funny when you sit here and think about it, but the EU has decided to lift its ban on Russian food and fertilizers because it's been hurting their economy so much. We did not anticipate and we did not plan on this hurting everyone so bad, or we really did, and we didn't think about it. And the director of the WHO confided with senior European politicians that the likely explanation for the catastrophic accident at the lab leak in Wuhan. they're still trying to fight this whole Wuhan theory. They're still trying to say it wasn't a lab leak, that it was still from the wet market, which is all well and good, but in my opinion, it would come from a place where they're doing some testing, but it may not. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I don't know all the facts. I don't know everything. But yeah, they're saying it's still something that should be looked at. It's kind of funny that the EU already lifted fertilizer sanctions and food sanctions now, because I mean, I'm guessing gas is going to be next from them. But also, if you can take a look at the new graph he posted with inflation, got it, thank you. This is how inflation really actually hurts people. So, yeah, guys, open your minds, think about things objectively, try not to think about anything else when it comes to, how you want the life to actually be. Do you want life to, I don't know, be normal for you again? Do you want to go back to how it was previously in the past? I do. I definitely want to. My kid will not be homeschooled, or my kid will not go to public school. They will be homeschooled or charter school, just to make sure that we get away from all this crap that's being pushed and being, stigmatized in the world. But that's just me. It's just my opinion, guys, and that's my rant for the day. So thank you.